All right, let's talk Chargers Texans. A game that I'm not sure if people are hyping too much heading into this week, but I gotta be honest, I think it could be a really fun game. It might not be the most high scoring game, and we'll get into that, but I think it could be really fascinating. So in this video, we're going to preview CJ Stroud and how he could go up against this Chargers defense. And another video I'm going to make tomorrow, I will do the other side of the ball, do the Chargers offense against the Texans defense, and then in that video, I'll give my final score prediction. In this video, I'm going to get into some numbers, then get into some tape, and then give my prediction on how I think the Texans offense will go in this game. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. So first, this chart, which I start all these videos off with, just a way to familiarize ourselves with these teams. This is where they ranked in terms of PFF grades at specific positional categories. So you see the Texans have a solid 13th ranked passing and a 12th ranked receiving, although worth mentioning Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs both helped with that 12th ranked receiving. Neither will be playing in this game. But even if they were, they'd have their work cut out for them because the Chargers have the 4th highest graded coverage unit. They have a couple of really good corners, which we'll get into once we get into the film. So definitely there is some, there is an advantage there Chargers-wise. The pass blocking isn't quite as bad as maybe you would think, although there's kind of an asterisk there, and I'm going to do a section in just a second where we talk about the whole Texans offensive line. You do see, though, that their run blocking is not great at 27th ranked. Rushing's been okay, just purely running the ball, but the blocking has not really been there. For the Chargers, 6th best run defense, so don't expect to run the ball too well against them, and 16th ranked pass rush. It's mostly off the edges, which I think creates an interesting question heading into this game. So these are the 5 starting Texans offensive linemen as of the last time they played their starters. You see Laramie Tunsil and Blake Fisher were the tackles. Titus Howard, Kendrick Green, not to be confused with Keon Green, the former first-round pick. And then those two guys are the guards. Jarrett Patterson is the center. So the number next to each of their name is where they ranked in terms of PFF grades this season. So you see Tunsil was 23rd ranked, Blake Fisher not so good at 73rd ranked, and these are both for the guards and tackles. It's out of about 80 eligible. For center, it's out of 43 eligible. So you see Jarrett Patterson, 32nd sounds nice, but it's actually not very good when it comes to centers. Kendrick Green did not have enough snaps to qualify, but the PFF grades were, it says there, bad. So that's kind of an issue. Here's what's fascinating. Shaq Mason has missed the past few weeks. He could come back in and play. And if he does, what do you do here? Do you try to keep these 5 and get rid of Kendrick Green? Or when you bring him back, do you try to put Titus Howard back to tackle? Because if you do, as I mentioned, the Chargers edge rushers are kind of where most of their pass rush comes from. It's the interior that struggles for the Texans, because I gotta be honest, I do not like the idea of Blake Fisher trying to play pass protection against one of those Chargers edge rushers, against Joey Bosa all game. That feels like a nightmare. Also, let's head over here, because this is interesting as well. So these are where the Texans receivers rank in terms of PFF grades and yards per route ran, whether they're playing man or zone coverage. I included a few other players that won't be playing, like Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. You see Dalton Schultz is kind of even, but the real guy I want to talk about is Nico Collins. You see that his PFF grades are great on both sides, but he's almost a full yard per route ran higher when he's playing man. If he gets one-on-one matchups, he wins one-on-one matchups. He is that kind of receiver, and you have to play him as such. A couple other guys that could come through are like John Mechie and even Joe Mixon, the halfback, if the Chargers play a lot of zone coverage, which they tend to do. Deontay Johnson I threw on as well because he is someone who has bounced around several teams this season now. He has ended up on the Texans, and given their injuries, might have to get some snaps. You see that, his numbers are not with the Texans, but the entire season, and he's, been all right against man, so maybe if the Chargers do play some man on third downs, then the Texans could look his way. He could be a little bit of a contributor in zone, but again, what are we expecting to get out of Deontay Johnson? I have no idea. But let's get into the film now and talk about what can happen, what can go right, and what can go wrong. Let's start off with this play. So, I'm looking for teams that like to play a lot of zone coverage. The Texans and Chargers actually haven't played each other in a while. They didn't play each other all of last year, and they didn't play each other all of the year prior. The last time they played was in 2022. Davis Mills started that game. But anyway, this is what the Chargers, kind of what they do. They play some zone coverage, and to be honest, the Texans have struggled against this season. Watch how when this play begins. You're going to see that right here. So Stroud's looking up. Doesn't love what he sees. There isn't a massive window. He could maybe try and force something, but is that what you want to do here? I don't know. Here's the other issue. When you play against zone coverage, a lot of times you have to hold on to the ball for just a little bit longer. Sometimes when you run zone busters, they just take a minute to develop, and we've talked about how they don't get the best pass protection from the inside. As you see, the Jets get a sack right there, and that's kind of what happened a lot in this particular game, was the Jets' pass rush was really a factor, but part of it was because Stroud had to hold on to the ball for a bit longer. This was a quick pressure anyway, but you get the idea, right? Another factor, too, though, is Stroud just has to play better. I mean, Stroud this season has not quite been as sharp as he was last season, and he needs to make some plays like this, where it's a one-on-one matchup, it's actually man coverage, but you see the corner's playing a lot of separation. Stroud takes the snap, and while I wouldn't say this was a wide open throw, there was a window to make this throw, and he did not put it in that window. He missed the throw, and kind of sort of double pumped. There wasn't really much pressure, so I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe he was worried it was going to get deflected or something, which, okay, I kind of get that, but at the same time, you got to find a way to get the ball there and make these plays hit. You just do. The Chargers don't give up a lot of separation. When they do it stuff like this, you have to hit on these plays. Although this is maybe the one way I could see the Texans potentially trying to flip this game. Because, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball a ton. I don't know if they'll be able to dink and dunk their way down the field. So what it might have to be is protect the football and then take some shots and be able to get the ball down the field that way. Like I said, I think this could be a lower scoring game. So it could come down to Nico Collins. Despite the fact that everyone's kind of acting like the sky is falling for the Texans, they do have in my opinion, the best skill player in this game in Nico Collins, because he can do something like this when he has a one-on-one matchup. Watch as when Stroud takes the snap and looks in Collins' direction, you're going to see that, this isn't open. This is wide open. This is as open as it gets. He's just dominating this one-on-one matchup. The Chargers, while they do play zone, will play a lot of single safety deep coverages. They'll play a lot of cover 3. This isn't Brandon Staley, where you've never even heard of a single safety deep coverage. They do that. Here, Stroud makes a really accurate throw, and they're able to get a big completion right there. If you can flip the field on a couple of those, that could be a way to make things happen. That's kind of, I think, something that they almost have to do, is hit on one or two of these if they're going to win this game. So then it got me thinking, okay, well, for the Chargers, they'll give up some one-on-one matchups from time to time. How have they done when they have done that this season? Like when they've had great wide receivers go up against them, one-on-one matchups, can they win? Well, they played Tampa Bay, who has Mike Evans, just a couple weeks ago. Well, how did they do in that game? Honestly, not great at covering Mike Evans. Here's a one-on-one matchup. You're going to see Baker Mayfield takes a snap. This is a 3rd and 12 as well, so there was some space. And this is a great throw, but it's also, there was a window there. Not horrible coverage or anything, but just it's to say they can get beat in one-on-one situations. I'm not trying to say that they're bad cover players. They've, like I said, been very good. Christian Fulton, who was in coverage there, is a very good player. Kind of the other real example of them playing an elite wide receiver with a good enough quarterback as well, I would probably say was the Bengals, and the Bengals also put up some points. Jamar Chase was able to win down the field decently. So, it's kind of the case just in football, right? There's only a couple corners in the league you really trust to just blanket a elite wide receiver, and there might be none, to be honest. So personally, that's just kind of how I view all of this, is I think that, to be honest, I think the Texans are going to struggle in most of this. I didn't really get into the running game. I don't trust them to win on the ground too much in this game. I don't trust them to dink and dunk their way down the field, but I do think that they can just try and play ball control, don't turn the ball over, and then hit some plays down the field. So while I doubt that they're going to score a lot, can they get enough plays to flip the field here and there? To me, that's their pathway to victory. So as for final predictions, you see the Texans score on average 1.88 points per drive on the year, which isn't great. The Chargers give up 1.64 points per drive on the year, which is great, one of the best in football. So my guess is I'll kind of split the difference a little bit. I'm going to say that the Texans score 1.7 points per drive in this game. I don't think it'll be a complete disaster, and I think that if you can get maybe one or two, touchdowns, essentially, long field touchdowns with the Nico Collins thing. That's a factor. For the Chargers, I think they're going to play Collins straight up. I think they'll give Collins some opportunities. They'll start to double him if he wins enough, but I think you got to try and do that. Give yourself a chance in the running game if you can do that, right? Force them to pay more attention down the field, because if you don't, this could be trouble. So, yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. So, it should be, I think, an interesting little chess match there. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will be back with the other side of the ball tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.